Good afternoon, one and all. Welcome all to 88th session of Vayomanasa Sanjeevani's webinar series. Today's topic for the day is International Yoga Day 2022 on the theme Yoga for Well-being. To talk about this, we have Dr. Hemath Bharghav, Mr. Bheemachar BN, and Mr. H.A. Nagaraj Rao. I welcome all the three speakers for today's webinar and all the Zoom and YouTube participants who have joined. Today's moderator for this session is Mrs. Annie Matthew. To introduce Annie Matthew, ma'am, she has completed her PG diploma in counseling psychology, and she's currently being as a volunteer in Vayomanasa Sanjeevani as well as in NIMHANS Wellbeing. She has conducted a lot of counseling sessions for young people, married couples over 6 years, and she was earlier a quality coach come behavioral skill trainer, and she's also a caretaker of her father-in-law who is suffering from Alzheimer's from past 4 years. So this is introduction about our moderator, Mrs. Annie Matthew, ma'am. Now, welcome, ma'am, for today's session. Now, I request you to address all our speakers. On to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gina, for that introduction. Once again, good evening and a very warm welcome to everyone present here. Thank you so much for taking time out from your busy schedules and coming here. It's definitely a pleasure to once again gather with all of you. Like Gina mentioned, I have the privilege of introducing our 3-member panel for the day. Sorry, did someone say something?
No, ma'am, please go ahead, ma'am. It was background voice by some of our participants.
Okay,
please go ahead.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, so like I was saying, like Gina mentioned, I have the privilege of if everyone can just...
Bheemachar, sir, can you log out from your other device because it's echoing?
Yes.
Yeah. I think 2 devices have been logged in from your home.
Okay.
So it's echoing, sir. Yeah.
And the camera has been covered by the hand.
Yeah. Can you take your hand from the mobile, sir, so that it will be yes?
Yeah, now we are visible.
Yeah. Ma'am, please go ahead, ma'am.
Sure. Thank you so much. I have the privilege of introducing our 3-member panel for the day. But before I get into doing that, I'd like to wish each one of you present here a very happy and fruitful International Yoga Day 2022. Our first panelist, in no particular order, is Dr. Hemath Bharghav. Welcome to the webinar, Doctor. Dr. Bharghav currently works as the Assistant Professor of Yoga in the Department of Integrative Medicine at NIMHANS. He's also a fellow at Welcome DBT India Alliance. He started building his career by doing his MBBS at Indira Gandhi Government Medical College, Nagpur, and a diploma in community mental health at NIMHANS, Bangalore. He further pursued his interests by doing an MD in yoga and rehabilitation and a PhD in yogic science at the S. Vyasa University, Bangalore. He has a post-MD teaching and clinical experience of 10 years. He has published 2 books, Yoga for Depression and The Textbook of Yoga in Mental and Neurological Healthcare. Apart from being such an accomplished individual, he also has won many laurels, such as the Gold Medal for the Best MD 2009, as well as the Best PhD Thesis 2012. Not forgetting to mention his ICMR Travel Award to present a research paper in the Society for Neuroscience Conference, Louisiana, United States in 2012. A very warm welcome to you, Dr. Hemath. We're very glad to have you here with us.
Thank you, madam.
Our second panelist for the day is Shri H.A. Nagaraj Rao, an 84-year young retired managing director of the Karnataka Silk Board and the president of the Bangalore Apartment Federation. Shri Nagaraj has been practicing yoga for 25 years now. He has worked as a World Bank consultant, was the former regional executive of IT Export Promotion Council. He was the past president of Operations Research Society of India, an All India Civil Services tennis champion for 7 years, and a national veterans tennis champion too. Sri Nagaraj also served as the former Executive Director, International Sericulture Alliance, and is the GC member of the Computer Society of India. Through his discipline of yoga, he has overcome several age related ailments, and thereby he has motivated many youngsters and software engineers to practice the same. A very warm welcome to you, Sri Nagaraj Rao. We're happy to have you on our panel on this International Yoga Day. Last but definitely not the least, let me introduce our third panelist for the day, Sri Bheemachar. Sri Bheemachar is the retired Principal Design Officer and Deputy Director, Department of Naval Design, Government of India. He is the 12th of 14 children to his parents. Born on the 24th of December 1930, he is a seasoned 91-year-old gentleman in the midst of us. He is married to Srimati Ratna, who is currently 83 years old. Sri Bheemachar is trained in naval shipping, and in 1985 he joined Ship Design and Construction at New Delhi. He retired in 1985 and is currently living in Bangalore. In 1993, he attended a 3-week certificate yoga asanas and pranayama certificate course conducted by a well-known yoga center, Kaivalya Dhamma, which was in Lonavala. He is practicing yoga since 1979, which makes it 40 plus years since he is doing that. He practices regular meditation and yoga asanas. His hobbies include collecting printed cuttings specifically on yoga, writing poems in Tamil, giving guidance to apartment members. Sri Bheemachar suffered from acute hyperacidity and was operated for intestinal ulcer in 1993. However, now he has not a single symptom of it thanks to the yoga that he's been practicing. He is an avid yoga practitioner too, and that is what has brought him on our panel today. Welcome, Sri Bheemachar. We're glad to have you here with us. So now, since we have 3 panelists, let me just share the order of the webinar today. First, we will hear from Dr. Hemath Bharghav, who will speak to us about the medical and psychological aspects of yoga. Next, we'll hear from Sri Bheemachar, who will tell us more on yoga for the disabled people and what is the congenial atmosphere and suitable place and time for yoga for the elderly. Last, we will hear from Sri Nagaraj, who will share his personal experience with us on his journey with yoga over the last 25 years. Post all the panelists sharing their wisdom with us, we'll open the forum to the audience to ask doubts and queries, share their feedbacks, and express their gratitude too. So I'd request all of us in the esteemed audience to please put in their questions in the chat box as the talks go on, so that we can address them in an orderly fashion at the end of the panel discussion. Requesting everyone other than the speakers to please keep yourselves on mute as the panelists speak, so that we will not disturb them in any way and we ourselves can absorb as much information as we can from them. Thank you. So let's go ahead with our first panelist, Dr. Hemath Bharghav, who will be speaking to us about the medical and psychological aspects of yoga. Over to you, Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. This is indeed a privilege to be on this platform and share my views on the given topics with all of you. I would like to share my slides. So in this talk, I will be discussing the medical and psychological aspect of yoga, and my special focus will be the elderly population, as the platform is the Vayomanasa Sanjeevani platform. My 8th International Day of Yoga greetings to all of you. I would begin, with this particular saying from Buddha. So in these two famous sayings, in one, Buddha says that the secret of health for both mind and body is not to mourn for the past or worry about the future, but to live in the present moment wisely and earnestly. So this is something very, very fundamental to the mental health, and this is the psychology of yoga. People, go to gym, they do exercise, they go for a walk. But if you ask a very simple question, when they do all these activities, where the mind is, so we will see that the mind still follows the same pattern, of either dwelling into the past or going into the future. But when you practice yoga, the nature of yoga practice in itself is such that you have to put an awareness to your body, you have to connect to your breath, you have to become aware of your mind. So naturally, whatever duration that you practice yoga, you remain in the present moment. Therefore, mindfulness is an integrated part of yoga, and that is what brings a difference between yoga, gym, and any other kind of exercise. And it is actually the essence of yoga. And then the second saying here says, to keep the body in good health is a duty. Otherwise, we shall not be able to keep our mind strong and clear. Therefore, bodily health is very important for mental health and vice versa. So therefore, it is towards this application, that yoga has emerged as a very popular discipline. What is yoga? 2 decades back, yoga was something, considered as a very mystic practice only for certain elderly, yogis who will be practicing them in the Himalayas. But, thanks to the technology and, the kind of stressful situations that we have gone in the present lifestyle, that yoga and its application found right application in today's time. And so it is now we are here that the whole globe, 194 countries in the whole world are celebrating, including the countries who follow different religion, are taking yoga as a science. And all of us are practicing yoga, and yoga has reached the households now. So this is a definition that comes from Ahirbudinya Samhita that says Samyoga Yoga Ityukto Jivatma Paramatmanaha. So yoga is the union between the individual consciousness and the universal consciousness. So there is something inherent in the technique of yoga that allows expansion of your consciousness so that you live your life more in harmony with the nature. So if you look at the history of yoga, these are the stalwarts of yoga who popularized yoga, in the beginning. So Swami Vivekananda was the first person who took yoga to the West. And then Maharshi, we can see Maharshi Mahesh Yogi popularized the transcendental meditation. Paramahamsa Yogananda popularized the Kriya Yoga school of tradition. Swami Kuvalyananda was the first one to do a scientific study on yoga. And B.K. Iyengar, all of us are aware that he then popularized mainly the physical dimension, the asana part of yoga in the West. Patanjali defines yoga as something to deal with the mind. He says, Chitta Vritti Nirodha Yoga. So it means that termination of the agitations in the mind, to have a mind which is calm, peaceful, and stable in all the situations of life. And these are the major limbs of yoga. Yama, Niyama are the behavioral codes of conduct. Then asana, pranayama are to do with the body and breath. Pratyahara is closing the sense organs and turning inwards. And after that, the antaranga yoga of intense meditation, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, the higher dimensions of yoga. So yamas and niyamas are also very important nowadays, because yamas tells us in which direction you should not move your energy, and niyamas tell that these are the direction in which you should channelize your energy. So as elderly, it is very important to take yoga as a lifestyle, And therefore, all the 8 limbs of yoga prescribed by Patanjali using social conduct, bodily posture, breath regulation, sense organ control, or the mind-related practices ultimately aim at calming of the mind. Therefore, yoga works at the behavioral level, physical level, mental level, and spiritual level. So, according to the WHO also, the definition of health is that it is well-being at the level of body, mind, social and spiritual dimensions. So these 8 limbs of yoga are taking care of complete health at all the levels of health, prescribed by World Health Organization. There has been a lot of research in the last 2 decades, and this particular slide provides a summary of this research. You can see that medically, it is now proven that yoga downregulates the hypothalamo-pituitary adrenal axis, and therefore it reduces the serum cortisol levels. There is a neurobiological basis now to yoga. It has been demonstrated that yoga increases the neurotransmitter GABA in the brain, which is known to reduce anxiety. It also increases serotonin, which acts on depression. There are other studies that show that yoga enhances neurotrophic factors such as brain-derived neurotrophic factor BDNF. Now, it is a chemical that is released in your brain when the brain wants to form new synaptic connections, wants to form new neurons. So this is known as neuroplasticity. And it is known that in elderly, the brain shrinks, the neurons cannot form new connections. But we have been able to demonstrate that with 6 months of yoga practice, there is not only a stoppage of the normal process of regression of the brain, but the size of the brain actually increase in the hippocampal area. In a study that we did here, yoga also modulates the immune responses. So ultimately, there are several brain circuits, the prefrontal cortices, which are getting activated by performing yoga. And there is an increase in parasympathetic dominance, which has a calming effect on the heart. Ultimately, all these results have now translated into the clinical application of yoga in the form of reduction in depression, reduction in anxiety, reduction in negative symptoms. By negative symptoms, I mean a tendency not to socialize with people, remain socially withdrawn. So yuj means to connect. We have observed that yoga makes people connect to each other. Yoga also enhances memory and cognition, improves sleep quality and attention. So in my introductory talk, I would like to say this much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for that extremely insightful presentation, Dr. Hemath. We sure feel more enlightened in the area of yoga now. Let us now move on to our second panelist for the day, Sri Bheemachar. Like I mentioned earlier, he will be speaking to us about yoga for the disabled people and what is the congenial atmosphere and suitable place and time for yoga for the elderly. Over to you, Sri Bheemachar, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
We
Yes,
can
sir.
hear you. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We
And
can
all
hear
the
you.
all the panelists can hear me?
Yes, sir, you're audible. Are we audible, sir?
Yeah, I am on.
We can hear you, sir.
Please go ahead, sir. Thanks.
Already in introduction, I have covered about my experiences in yoga from 1979 to 1990, 222. But now I observed during the last so many years when I interact with people doing yoga and other people, those who are interested in yoga, but due to impediments, they cannot justify the yoga practice. So I want to highlight these things. One is time. Time factor is in the early morning, they suggest, but most of the people in family, the joint family system, they cannot find suitable time because of hullabaloo of the family. And then the time factor is one of the things where they don't have any place to have a atmosphere without noise or without anything. So that is one of the thing where they cannot justify the full yoga practice. Then another one is the food and time of the food. Because being a retired people, most of them, they don't have priority for the time on food because of the other family members who cook and who has to feed them. So third one is atmosphere, congenial atmosphere. Even if you do timing and etc., the congenial atmosphere like free air or without noise, and so that it is a prerequisition for yoga practice. Because of their indulge in all the family matters and other matters within outside and inside, they don't have the mind to go ahead for peaceful yoga practice. Then the whole people, they cannot lie down because of many handicaps like knee replacement, hip replacement, spine, etc. So another thing that sitting for whole people they can do, but these kind of things we should have some sort of a package for them, and on that basis I want to this my timing in this, so that they have to next session or whatever suitable session they should they have to detail function of the whole people, how they can do. Then last but least, they can do savasana, which is even on the bed or on the chair also. Because savasana, I feel in my lifetime and also my practice, etc., they have one of the most important savasana, yogasana, which is last, they have to do it after a very this one. So this will be very helpful if they emphasize the savasana, even if they cannot do any other asanas or poses. They can do this even sitting or on the bed or on the chair. So this is the last thing I want. And moreover, for all the practitioners who are listening and the parents, I am having complete peace of mind and cheerful atmosphere, and utilizing my time for having hobbies. This also is required. And in 5 years before, I want to say to the panelists that I standing position of yoga, I taught to the mentally retarded children school, which is near Kidwar Memorial Hospital. So some psychiatrists, they attended my classes and they made an improvement. They found with the students and children. This is on the record in the NIMHANS books. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sri Bheemachar sir. Thank you so much for those valuable inputs on some of the extremely important aspects of doing yoga. I'm sure it answered many questions that would have been in quite a few of our minds. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
With this, we come to Sri Nagaraj Rao, sir, our last panelist of the day. Like I mentioned before, he will be speaking with us on his personal experiences as a yoga practitioner for the last 25 years. Over to you, Sri Nagaraj, sir.
Thank you, Madam, for the nice words. I am neither as qualified as Dr. Hemath nor as experienced like Bheemachar, but I am in between. Even the age also is in between Hemath and Bheemachar. But I have gained sufficient experience. I did not go to any of the yoga schools except the BKS Iyengar's yoga, about which I will talk a little because it helps the elderly. Aging in the normal course is adding years to life. I'm 84 now. Next month I'll be 85, adding years to life. Whereas aging through yoga is adding life to years. Example, Bheemachar has been doing yoga at 91 years, and then it is adding life to years. That's the difference, major difference in aging through yoga. Yoga is not an exercise, according to me, because I have been playing tennis for nearly 30 years without having a sense of yoga. 40 years ago, nobody advised us like as on today. There are hundreds of people to give advice on yoga and how to do it. But 45 years ago, we could not find so much of yoga, though I was nearer to Mysore. Neither we had the intention to learn yoga as a youngster. That is the mentality of a youngster. God gives us body and the mind. He doesn't ask us to spoil. The diseases are caused only when we spoil our mind and the body. When the body is spoiled, we get into a lot of problems like diabetes, hypertension, etc. Thank God, blessings of God, I am neither a victim of these two. Third is mentally. NIMHANS has come out so much about it. I am so much impressed that we were under the impression meditation means you have to go to Himalayas, sit there closing your nostrils, pranayama and all that. The moment you ask somebody, do you know pranayama? They close both the nostrils and say, I'm doing pranayama. I mean, that is the way in which they react to me today. But we have learned by experience, and I have learned by experience. After about 30 years of tennis, without having any knowledge of yoga, I damaged my knee joints, resulting in osteoarthritis. 40 years ago, I developed osteoarthritis. Doctors told me to give up tennis, but I did not. After a couple of years, somebody advised me, why don't you go for yoga? I started getting pain in the knee while playing and all that. It brought my tennis career also down, apart from the general life career. When I said I'm not able to sit and squat, how can I do yoga? Then they said, no, Dr. BK Iyengar yoga is slightly different. It is for such people who cannot afford to sit down, fold their limbs and all that. There are some props. I said, let me make a try. I went to you must have known Swami Skobodhananda's ashram. The yoga classes were being done there. By my teacher Madhu was there. And then I started doing it. While climbing up a few steps to reach the center, I could find some pain while starting. 6 months after yoga, I could climb the steps easily without much pain. That itself gave me a push as far as my career is concerned. My career was life and tennis. I love tennis very much. I always try to reach a goal whenever I take it up. In my career as a bureaucrat, I reached the maximum that I could as the MD. In yoga, I wanted to reach something perfect. So I started concentrating on that. And to my surprise, miracle happened that I could go back to tennis, active tennis, not just tennis, active tennis within 2 years of yoga. I saw some of the videos at the end, photos at the end, what I do. I went on doing it. Yeah, I was back on the tennis court and I became the national champion only with 40% of damage of my knee after doing yoga, because my muscles held these bones without allowing me to collapse. That was the reason why I took up the yoga. I did not go to any of the institutions. I don't have, as I said, I don't have any additional qualifications, but my additional qualifications came to me when I tried to give solutions to about 10 people who were having back pain, and who were some of them were about to go for surgery in my own apartment. I stay in Sallarpadiya Splendor, Old Airport Road, and I started conducting yoga classes, and I have been doing it for the last 10 years now. The people who were not able to walk properly with the back pain, now I don't say running, but they do fast walking. That is my additional qualification. And Dr. Hemath Bharghav, I'm amused what an amount of qualifications, what a knowledge he has got. I neither have the knowledge nor the qualifications, sir. I come to you for advice, definitely. Thirdly, it is the body loses the power as we age up, and we are supposed to maintain that. God doesn't say you will lose the body. He gives us the body, but asks us to maintain it. So that's why it's called, up to a certain age, it is God's given power. After a certain age, it is acquired power. You have to do something, whether there is food or exercise. Without these two, the body loses its power, and God doesn't come here to say, I will give you some push. No, it is for us to do it, and then I have been trying to do it. That's why, with the experience of just 25 years, as soon as maybe you can say post-retirement, something like that, because 26 years ago I retired. So with that, I've been able to overcome some of the ailments. Let me say, Dr. Bharghav mentioned a very important thing: past, present, and future. I have a simple analogy for that. My analogy is, yesterday is waste paper. Today is newspaper. Tomorrow is a question paper. The questions are left to you. You have to get the question. You have to answer the questions yourself. Nobody will answer the question. So I started following the B.K. Iyengar yoga. My only college studying was the Mahabharata of B.K. Iyengar, a book. Started with that. And I said, this is a book. What can I do? I think they can mute everybody else. Okay, right. So I started reading that book. I found it little interesting, because it was only reading. Then I developed prostate due to aging. I went to the doctor, took medicine for 15 days, and he said the surgery is a must. It has to be removed as usual. Then I started looking into the Mahabharata of the Bible of B.K. Iyengar. It was written there that you start these asanas for your prostate. I literally followed that. I never went to the doctor again. Even today, I don't have the problem of prostate. Then secondly, the hernia started. Hernia I had read. I was interested, though I was not a medical student. I was a biology student. I was interested in some medicine and all that. So I had read something. Hernia, I could see, oh, this is the hernia on the intestine. This is hernia. If you touch it, you get the pain. Again, went back to the Bible. Never went to the doctor also. No pain, no pill. Third, I used to get one every 4th month, cough, cold, fever, antibiotic. Then I started doing Jalaneti. Jalaneti is one of the sectors of yoga. Somebody advised me to do that. I started doing it again. For last 8 years, I have been doing Jalaneti. Some people say you should not do it every day. I took their advice. I started doing alternate days. Whenever I feel some bad thing in the nose, immediately I do Jalaneti. That is the medicine. With the blessings of God and my parents, I have never gone to the doctor for last 8 years, except for the COVID vaccine. COVID vaccine, I had to go. There was no choice. So other than that, thank God, I did not have, because I analyzed it. When you start with the cold, the level of oxygen inside comes down. The intake of oxygen also comes down. Thereby, other problems will start. When I started doing Jalaneti, that did not happen. I do pranayama every day, and part of meditation, unlike Bheemachar, little of meditation that is required to keep myself calm. That's all, not beyond. So when I started doing that, the cold, which results in rhinitis, sinusitis, all itis, is ultimately getting into the itis part of antibiotics. I have never touched antibiotics for the last 7-8 years. Thank God, thanks yoga. I always attribute anything that is found good in me, in my health, to yoga and Dr. B.K. Iyengar. Dr. B.K. Iyengar, some 1 or 2 points I have to mention. Dr. B.K. Iyengar has got some props. The elderly people should also know about it. If you cannot sit down, you sit on the chair and do asanas. And some of the asanas are much better with props, and many of the asanas may be 80% of achievement without props. You can always do. In fact, I have written a compiled asanas in a book format. The book indicates about 30 asanas, explaining each asana, and I have given the pictures of usage and no usage of props. Both I have given. I have been distributing it free of cost because God has given me 2 meals a day, more than enough for me and for my exercise. In fact, 30 years of service in government, people started asking me, what is your property? I said, I have earned 2 properties in my service. One is, of course, my health was a blessing. I don't say I have earned it, blessings, and then I cultured it. One is that where the flat where I am staying, that's the only flat I have. If I am thrown out, I'll be on the street. Second property is my wife. So keeping these 2 intact, I have been living happily, self-contented life. That's more than enough for me. So I started distributing books free of cost. And I conduct classes on pranayama and meditation online that I don't charge anybody anything at all. I conduct it, is open for anybody can come in and then join. People from Netherlands, Singapore, Africa, US have all joined. I conduct twice a week on Wednesdays and Sundays. I have found, having played tennis and reached national level and doing yoga, I have found a lot of difference. As Dr. Bharghav explained it, I find, yes, exercise, brisk exercise is required up to a certain stage. After that, there's nothing like no exercise. You have to do exercise, not that as brisk as earlier. That's why the gym has the limitation of age. It is said that yoga gives you a disciplined life, not a spiritual life. People think the moment you say yoga, people think that you will be becoming a saint. Impossible. But all the scientists of India, the old culture, call anybody for that matter, old scientists, they were all saints. They were all doing yoga. They all got their solutions through meditation, and everybody followed the same thing, whosoever it is. I don't want to extend beyond this, except showing some of the pictures of asanas that elderlies can do. without much of strain, which I do on a regular basis. Can I share my screen, Gina?
Yes, sir. I have made you the co-host. Thank you.
Are you able to see the screen of mine?
Yes, sir. We can see, sir.
Yeah, this is the first one where Veerabhadrasana is one of the things that is told. Without support, we are supposed to do that. Without a support, bending the knee, standing straight, bending the knee. But you take just the support of the wall on the side and then do it. As much as you can do. See, my knee is restricted. That's why you will not be able to send too much of bending. Then this I did for using the chair for the prostate and the hernia, lifting it up, even for varicose veins. I have a history for varicose veins also. When you start doing this, the varicose, even today, I don't take a pill and no pain on account of any of these ailments. The next one is, you can see a belt being used. This is for straightening the knee. This is the belt that is B.K. Sengar has proposed. And I started using this. You can still see my knee bent. Still that bend is there, but it was little more when I started using the belt, then it becomes little straight. And even today, despite 30 years of brisk tennis, I don't have any back pain or whatsoever. Thank God. Because of yoga. All the things I attribute only to yoga and blessings of God. And this is for the back pain. This is called the bolster. That is B.K. Sengar's bolster. And you can correct every part of the backbone in this particular, using this particular thing. One of them is shown here. See, this is sitting down and then bending back. The entire backbone is pushed up. And then you can just see it being pushed up. If you start doing this every day, you will never get back pain at all. After all, sitting on the bed, using this bolster, I'm not even sitting on the floor. You can see how easily it can be done, and anybody can do it using this bolster. This is using a chair. Using a chair. This is a photo only. Veerabhadrasana, I showed you using the hands on the wall. Now using a chair. With this, the lower back, the slightly upper back, both can be rectified because the girdles move forward and backward like Veerabhadrasana using the chair support. What happens in the elderly, even today for me, if I have to do Veerabhadrasana, if I don't hold, I will be unsteady because of the bad knee, poor knee. I'll be unsteady. Do you need some sort of support? So when you use this, you can do the same asana without any problem. This is the next one. See, bending the knee and then pushing the head up. This is Trikonasana. Normally, Trikonasana is done without any support. But if you start bending your knee or straightening your knee, you may lose steadiness in your body, especially in my case because, it's a bad knee, damaged knee. Even today, I have about 40-50% of the knee. I have not gone to the doctor to check what percentage I have because I am maintaining my own percentage of I can walk, I can drive, but not run. Even while climbing the steps, I have to be a little careful with the support. This is Trikonasana, where you put your right hand on the using the wall, and there's a brick here down below, so that this knee is corrected because I have a damaged knee, I always use the brick, with the brick down and then taking the hand up. This has got slightly better effect than doing without anything, because you can move this hand behind as much as you can, which you can't do without support. You will fall. You will not be steady. So that's the advantage of the props, some of the props. And that's all what I wanted to show you. That's my experience. I have overcome, I think, prostate, hernias, and sinusitis, varicose veins with asanas, and I'm doing regular pranayama, which is keeping me energetic. People ask me, in fact, I'm the president of the Bangalore Apartment Federation. Yesterday and today, we had about 6 meetings, 2 in Whitefield, 2 in South Jayanagar, and 1 in Yelahanka. I attended all of them without any stress or strain. And they were asking me, how come you are traveling all through and attending all the things? I'm making presentations in all the meetings. This is because of yoga, nothing but yoga. You eat less, very little, whatever that is required, eat just to live, and do some exercise. Not any other exercise after age. Yoga is the only exercise, I should say, for purpose of physical and pranayama and meditation for the mental. Thank you. Any questions? I am there.
Thank you so much, Nagaraj sir. Old is gold is not just a saying that has popped out of nowhere. It's really so precious to listen to the words of wisdom and experience from such wonderfully experienced people like you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for graciously sharing so many aspects of your personal journey with yoga. I think now we can open the forum for questions, feedback, and any valuable comments from the audience. I request all of you to please unmute yourselves one at a time and ask the respective panelists your question, or share your feedback or comments as the case may be. So the forum is open for the audience to speak. You can also put in your questions in the chat box. Go ahead, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, doctor.
So it is actually, it was nice to have Mr. Bheemachar sir and Mr. Nagaraj Rao sir. I think both are very senior people whom we have been kind of in touch with through our Vayomanasa Sanjeevani initiative. I take this opportunity to thank them. And we also, we have heard about personal experience. We have heard about various kind of the philosophical aspects of yoga, how the scientific aspects of yoga. As a doctor as well as a clinician, I would like to make few things, and maybe I would want Hemath to kind of also share his perspectives. Sometimes what happens is we see people, we can't generalize everything. Like sometimes we may have a good experience with managing everything through exercise and yoga or lifestyle modification. There are people whom we see who will develop complications. So I think this kind of programs, we want people to take the message clearly. I think yoga helps, physical activity helps. I think how do we have something like an integrated approach where everybody may not be lucky to kind of avoid interventions completely and be fit, because the health is a continuum. And there are people who will be doing well. There are people who are in the average. There are people who are in the extreme, who are who might develop more complications. I think that is something like a balanced approach is very important. I think Mr. Bheemachar and Mr. Nagaraj Rao are examples of super healthy individuals. I think they are inspirations. They are inspirations, and then they have a different journey. I think what we are going to have a detailed interview of Mr. Bheemachar, and the recordings of his postures also going to be released. And we have actually done a more detailed kind of recording for that. But these are inspirations. But everybody may not be able to achieve that. I think if we do regularly, or even some portion of that, I think that helps. That's what, even if you look at things like physical activity, they say the ideal physical activity is doing a particular minutes, like 150 minutes per week. But even a smaller amount actually helps. So we have to start doing, and if you are able to reach their kind of level, it's good. Maybe both for physical health and mental health, I think there has to be balanced approach. I would want Hemath to kind of share his perspectives as an integrative medicine expert. And thank you one and all for this excellent contributions, excellent for participation and support for this Vayomanasa Sanjeevani initiative.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shivkumar, Professor Nagaraj Rao sir and Bheemachar sir, both are very senior, and it is really inspiring, to see you people adopting yoga into your lifestyle. Since I am a person who comes from the modern medicine background, and then have done my MD and PhD in yoga, and basically my role is to sit in the NIMHANS OPD and prescribe, yoga, asana, pranayama, and a lot of elderly people come. So based on our clinical experience so far, I am just sharing my slides. It is very important that we observe certain precautions, especially when we are teaching yoga to the elderly. Somebody has asked in the chat box, what is the time? So especially, when you perform the pranayama practices, it is always important, especially the faster pranayamas, that you do them in an empty stomach condition. So the morning before breakfast would be a good time, or the evening 5 to 7 p.m. time would be good. The second point, it is very important here, is to perform the practices within your capacity and avoid overexertion. So as correctly said by Shivkumar sir, that not everybody's body is used to such physical exertion. So slowly and gently we have to train. Similarly, not everybody will have the same kind of history. So different individual may have different comorbidities. Somebody may have back pain, somebody may have hypertension, somebody may have diabetes, somebody may have migraine. So therefore we have to individualize the yoga sessions and properly tailor make the programs for each individual, as correctly pointed out by both Bheemachar sir and Nagaraj Rao sir, that you need to use props, and we have developed yoga module for elderly for their well-being, and we perform all the poses on the chair. So that way the dynamic fast breathing practices should be avoided. Inverted poses especially, you have to be very careful, and you have to do it under supervision of a trained teacher only, and not try it through an online mode. And then the relaxation at the end is very important. So the one of the thing that happens to us, in the OPDs, when patients come to us, they say that, okay, so since you are now going to teach me yoga, should I stop all my medications? So this is the kind of question comes when people, they take yoga as something that will help them get rid of all their medication like a magic. So please try to understand, never do such erratic things. Always consult your medical doctor, adopt yoga as your lifestyle, and always take advice of your doctor. If your health is improving, if your well-being is improving, no medical doctor would like to prescribe unnecessary medications. So as Shivkumar sir was pointing out, a balanced approach is very much necessary for optimal health. So this is one thing. And the second thing is that sir was talking about the integrated approach. In the integrated approach in our Department of Integrative Medicine, what we have observed is that the traditional systems of yoga and Ayurveda have come together with the psychiatry and neurology, and there is a interaction between the doctors of both the fields, and therefore we understand, okay, where is the medication needed, how much is it needed, and then where the lifestyle component can add in, and that kind of team effort is required. There is nothing to manage emergency like modern medicine, and the traditional systems of medicine can enhance your well-being. They can enhance your immune functions, cognition. So in this way, I feel that all the knowledge that we have in the medical system should come together for the welfare.
Yes, sir. Bheemachar wants to say something.
Mr. Nagaraj Rao,
Sir.
Since you are a federation president of the apartments,
Yes, sir.
is there any hall which is predominantly for only yoga and meditation?
Sorry, kindly repeat, sir.
Have you got all the apartments have any hall place where a congenial atmosphere for yoga practice?
Yes, sir. There are quite a number of apartments where I have conducted classes, sessions with PowerPoint presentation. Small, big, medium halls are available.
Because I am only doing it on terrace, which no other hall is there in the apartment. So I just want to know.
Can I add something to the question raised by Dr. P.T. Shivkumar? Madam?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Balanced approach is the strongest approach that is required. Whether it is medicine or no medicine, whether this medicine or that medicine, whether it is this yoga or that yoga, a balanced approach. Very important minus point where people go wrong is a learned teacher. If they do not go to a learned teacher, they may get into some sort of a problem. Because I have observed, I attended a few classes by a few teachers I don't want to mention. They don't even tell the name of the asanas. They never tell what is the advantage of this asana against what the problem that you have. This I went on telling for a back pain, this is what is to be done. For osteoarthritis, this to be done. For a headache, a lot of pranayama meditation to be done, dhyana to be done, etc. So I, keeping this in view, what I did was a handbook for the people, who are doing. Normally what happens, sir, today, the moment you say yoga, they know only one thing, that is asana, nothing else. Pranayama, yama, niyama, dhyana, all those things are forgotten, kept aside, only asana. Because the people who want to make money out of yoga, they say, I will take your osteoarthritis out in 6 months through asanas and give me this much of money. This has become almost like this. Looking at this, I am really ashamed of such trade who are misusing this the yoga into a wrong practice. Maybe some of those people might be having problems with yoga, but yoga literally done cannot go wrong at all by any chance. You can't go beyond a limit. Even if you want to go, you cannot. For example, I tried pranayama, deep breathing. Now I started with 10 seconds. Now I have reached 60 seconds a breath. If I sit in pranayama, I can go up to 55 to 60 seconds. This took for 10 years for me to do it. You can't be taught in 1 day or 2 days. I mean, that is where I feel that the teacher is important. For making a mention of the food, I always advise, whenever I make a presentation, I said, take food as medicine. Don't take medicine as food. That is important. So I keep on telling, don't stop. Dr. Bharghav correctly said, don't stop any other medicine. Go to the doctor. He will reduce it if you are better. People have learned, to be very frank, I have about 35 or 40 people attending this session in the evenings, the pranayama meditation. 1 out of 35 fell ill on account of COVID. Nobody else fell ill on account of COVID because the oxygen level was so good in their capacity that they did not fall victims of this. I mean, I'm just doing that. So as real doctor, you will be in a position to say diagnosis is the first, medicine is second. So diagnosis and medicine both are not taught well by an untrained teacher. That could be one of the reasons why the people go wrong in yoga. Yes, sir.
So much, sir. Asha ma'am, you had raised your hand. Do you have a question?
Just want to ask one question to Hemant ji.
Sure.
Sir, I have heard there is a connection between 21st of June, Ashada Masa, starting, and sex is it relevant? Is Mathun prohibited during Ashadha Masa?
Madam, can you repeat your question? You said that this 21st June is the Ashadha Mas and
it starts. Yeah, there is a special connection between June and Ashadha.
yes.
And is it, there are some sex Mathun preventions or prohibitions on this date, because elders might have urges, but they might not say it.
Okay.
Did you
So,
get
madam,
my question? Maybe I'm not very clear, but
yeah. So I will just repeat. I will just repeat what you are asking. You let me know whether I understood it correctly.
Okay, sir.
So you are saying that this particular month of June,
Yes.
which is connected to the Ashadha Mas according to the traditional calendar.
Correct.
It is in this month that the sexual activity should be prohibited.
Stop.
Because it may not
or
be good
prevented
for the health.
Or yeah, correct.
It may not be good for the health of the elderly.
Oh, no, not for elderly, for everybody in particular.
Okay. So, madam, as you know, we have been discussing on this forum, as Gautam Buddha also said, and various, in Bhagavad Gita also, you see the concept of samatvam comes. So everything in moderation is good. So you should not go to any kind of extreme. So even, the sexual hygiene is important, but on the other extreme, we should not make it too strict. It is a natural phenomena that happens in the body. So in my opinion, there is no such strictness, but you have to observe moderation based on your capacity. So in every activity, for that sake, there should be moderation. So why give a special value to this particular activity? Everything is a normal human activity, a normal phenomena of human life. So just observe moderation in your lifestyle.
Okay, and one more thing. Why 21st June only is taken as International Yoga Day?
Madam, it is the day which is the longest day, madam. The sun remains on the sky for the longest amount of time, and there is a shift. We also know that there is a shift in the direction of the movement of the earth around the sun. So what happens is that Uttarayana to Dakshinayana shift also takes place, and according to yogic philosophy, in this particular shift, it is very important. In fact, a lot of people who get into some yogic sadhana, they prepare it in such a way that they start in the month of June and continue it till the month of Jan. And then that Makar Sankranti day, when that comes, they take those vows and they practice. So it is the darker aspect of the year that start Dakshinayana, and therefore your sadhana should be more intense. So according to that biorhythm, it is a good time to begin yoga and take a vow that I will keep on doing yoga.
Good. Thank you very much. I was thinking, I should be asking you or not, but this is what I heard somebody say today in the morning. So I said, I'll better confirm from you being the scientific yogi. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And definitely our other, experienced experts may have their views. Yeah,
definitely. Anyone?
Bheemachar wants to say something.
Yes, sir. Bheemachar, sir.
For all information, my wife is 82 years and she is doing yoga regularly and pranayama. And since she is very busy in the morning, and I take over in the morning and she take over in the evening from 7:30 to 8:30. And we never see any TV, serial or TV until we finish in the morning yoga and other things.
Very good, sir. Keep it up, sir. Keep it up.
Wonderful, sir. Wonderful.
One more input for this is 21st being the International Yoga Day. It is our Prime Minister who brought it up. That is the longest day of the year, as Dr. Hemath told about it. And he has taken it to 198 countries, and they all perform our International Yoga Day tomorrow. And our great Prime Minister is there in Mysore, the old princess state where the yoga culture started with Patap Ram Joyce and B.K. Saingar, and then he's doing tomorrow. That is another important day that's why it's called International Yoga Day. Yes. Over to you.
Thank you, Asha ma'am, for your question. Nagaraj sir, we have a question for you. I learned yoga from SSY and now I'm a practitioner. Is there any verification required? Indira ma'am asked this question.
Yoga, I feel, cannot be verified. The best verification, I have never studied yoga in a college or in an institution, but my verification is the proof of the pudding is in eating. When somebody gets better with your advice. In fact, when I told my master, he is from the village, he was teaching me asanas, but not very perfect about pranayama and other things. I learned it from another teacher. He was telling that, when you try to learn something, you should not verify it. Proper verification is done only at the end, when somebody else gets the benefit of it. And he has done that without learning basic, this one, except going to Pune for the training of B.K. Saingar. I think verification, recording may not be required, but the result of your association with yoga, advice on yoga, should result in the betterment of a third person. That is the certification.
Thank you, sir. Nagaraj sir, over YouTube and also here in the chat box, we've got a couple of requests for your contact details and also the link for the online classes that you conduct, sir. So if it would be possible, can you put it in the chat box?
I'll try to put it. In fact, 2 sessions I have taken in Vayomanasa. Gina knows it, because I could not complete all my little knowledge in one session. I said I'll break it into 2. The first one was I tell people not spirituality in yoga, but science in yoga. I tell physics, chemistry, biology in yoga. That is their understanding. Because when one says physics, oh, there's some physics in yoga. Say bones, geometry, asanas are geometry, pranayama is for the lungs and the heart, and meditation is for the mind and the head, brain. All these 3 are clearly deciphered what is to be done. But if you do only asanas, you will be missing the other 2 elements. But spirituality automatically comes in. Spirituality cannot be taught. It has to be acquired. It cannot be taught. In fact, I asked somebody, sir, can we teach us spirituality? I said, I took out 100 rupee note and said, you go and buy spirituality and come and tell me. Could not answer. Spirituality cannot be taught. It has to be acquired. Gradually, as the people go on, they acquire it. So I can definitely share. There are 2 YouTubes. I think Gina has got both the YouTube's copies that can be shared in the group, as well as I will share my link also in the group. There should not be any problem. Anybody can join without any limitation. Please.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. I'd also just like to announce to all the participants that we will...
Is there any relevance in prayers, in temples, mosque, churches, gurudwara, like that? In olden days, we are visiting temples, etc. I think there are similar like yoga. Please explain.
Dr. Hemath, could you answer this? Some question?
The question is not very clear to me. They were telling that in Gurudwara and churches also they were doing similar kind of exercises earlier days.
Can I take this?
Even now, in mosque, their prayers are like yoga.
In the namaz pose.
Yes, namaz like.
Namaz.
Right.
Vajrasana is a common.
Temples also like that. Sastangam, prayers, rolling body, like that. So there are so many kind of worships in temples.
Yes.
there any relevance to yoga like that?
Can I?
Sir, Nagaraj sir.
Yeah. Yes.
Are you understand what I am telling?
Yes, sir. I'm answering your point. There are two poses used by two different communities or religions. One is using the knee, standing on the knee or half standing is another asana, as you know. Ustrasana, we start with that. And Vajrasana is a common factor in a third religion. Vajrasana, of course, some people do Baddha Konasana, but Vajrasana is very common, which is commonly used in a third religion. Secondly, even in pranayama, when we say Om, Om is the word of the sun, everybody knows about it. The equivalent of Om in other religions is Amen in one of the communities and Amin in the third community. So there's commonality in all. Everybody starts. Yoga has no religion. Yoga has no religion. Anybody. In fact, even for my pranayama, this thing, there are a couple of different communities coming to me and they're experiencing it. There's a commonality, sir. It is taken from all the things. And all these slokas of the world have been analyzed by California Institute, and Gayatri Mantra has been assigned as the best because it gives maximum vibration when it is cited.
Thank you, sir. Nagaraj sir, I hope that answered your question.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I just like to say that we have a video on pranayama done by Bheemachar sir. So we will play that at the end. I just wanted the participants to know while we take last couple of questions.
I have shared the link to Gina's account. She may put it across.
Yes, sir. It's shared on the group. It's shared, right? Thank you. Mr. Prakash Kumar has asked, please suggest yogasanas to cure insomnia.
Dr. Hemath will be in a better position to answer that. I can do it, but he's better to answer that.
Basically, to enhance quality of sleep, researchers show that you need to, bring a state of parasympathetic dominance. Your nervous system, which is in a state of excitation throughout the day, thinking should shift towards a more relaxed state. So that shifting can take place by performing regulated breathing, especially the breathing through the left nostril. The left nostril is connected to the moon channel. So that Ida Nadi should get activated. So therefore, you should just close the right nostril and breathe in from the left and breathe out from the left. So continue to perform this breathing for 5 to 10 minutes. That will bring the Chandra Nadi activation. And the ratio of inhalation is to exhalation should be 1:2. So your exhaled air should be longer than the inhaled air. And then after that, one should lie down, close the eyes, touch the tongue gently to the upper palate, close the mouth and produce a very gentle humming sound. That is the Brahmari. Very gentle Brahmari should be continued at bedtime for another 10 minutes. So these two very simple techniques, selective left nostril breathing in from left, breathing out from left for 5 to 10 minutes, then lying down on the bed and performing very gentle humming breath for 10 minutes. You will see that slowly the quality of sleep will become better. Anything Nagaraj Rao sir would like to add based on his clinical experience?
Yes, sir. Any pranayama for that matter, especially this Anulom Vilom through the left, he said, but I generally put it as Anulom Vilom or alternate nostrils. I have observed in my case and in my friends' cases, those who have started yoga are getting better sleep, whether it is to pranayama or asana or whatever it is, because generally any of the yogic exercises, yogic asanas bring down the stress. That's the first factor. 50% of our ailment or disturbed mind or whatever it is, could be on account of stress. A lot of research has been done on this in NIMHANS. I attended the entire 5-day seminar. Very interesting. and the growth of the brain also has been indicated. So the people who do yoga generally bring down their stress level, not only sleep, but also the level of their ailments also can come down. Thirdly, I have observed what I was eating 40, 30 years ago. What I now eat is 1/10 of what I used to eat then. The energy level automatically increases. You don't feel like eating. If you start doing yoga, your food intake of food automatically comes down and you become slimmer or fitter or whatever it is. Your fat level comes down, stress level comes down. Because of the stress coming down, you will definitely get a better sleep. Of course, in addition, whatever Dr. Bharghav has said will add on to that.
Also, there is some research that shows that in the morning, especially in the window of 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., if you perform physical practices, then also it improves the sleep quality in the night.
Yeah.
So the morning yoga, especially the asana based and the pranayama based yoga done in the morning in that window improves the night quality sleep. And there is another practice called as Trataka. I will just share the image of that practice. So some very useful practices that elderly people can do. Among them, this is a particular technique. You keep a candle at 1 meter distance in a dark room and focus on this candle and try to calm down the thought processes in your mind. In 15-20 minutes, you will see watering of the eyes, and then you can cover your eyes and relax. This should be done in a dark room. It improves the memory of the elderly people also, and it enhances the night sleep quality of the people also.
Good.
So as sir was telling, we can use different kind of props, chairs, and perform the practices in the morning time. Okay, so these are the practices, and then these are the different kind of mudras and pranayamas that can be done. And he correctly said that these are the mantras. So basically you can chant Om, you can chant Amin, you can chant Amen, but ultimately you have to feel the vibration in your body. So it is the vibration of the sound that has therapeutic effect.
Yes.
And as he said, the Gayatri mantra produces the maximum kind of vibration. So you should use it as a science rather than as a religion. And then, of course, at the end, the Yoga Nidra audios are there, relaxation techniques are there. So in a very simple way, not making it very complicated, anybody at any age should be able to, do yoga. Of course, the laughter yoga. So these domains can be used. And these very simple techniques we have also been teaching throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, especially for the elderly. And these kind of techniques we have also been teaching through the tele mode. So these are the sessions that NIMHANS organizes for elderly people for management of the stress levels. So thank you very much.
One more advantage of Brahmari I have come across research. I have read research paper is the production of nitric oxide in the nasal cavities, which automatically there is the production of nitric oxide throughout the body. It enhances 15 times more when you do the Brahmari. Result is it is a vasodilator.
Yes.
So the blood flow will be easier. The blood pressure level comes down on one hand, and it is a antibacterial, antiviral character. So any virus coming in, it becomes a mild firewall unless the load is heavy. I mean, these two I have learned it only by records.
Yes, sir. I completely agree with this research paper. I have read that. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Doctor. We'll take one last question since we overshot time quite a bit. Bheemachar, sir, would you please answer this? Somebody has asked, does climatic changes make changes in yoga routines? What are the conditions in which we should avoid yoga?
In my opinion, or in my experience, that climatic condition doesn't make any difference. Only thing is when the raining or anything like that, you cannot do that in open and restricted place. Otherwise, I don't feel or I don't have seen any books or anything that you should not do or use restrict the climate. The other one? Other question?
That's the only question, I think.
No.
That's it, sir.
Yeah.
That's it, sir. Thank you so much.
Normally, it is suggested that during the cold season, you do more of Surya Namaskara. Your body becomes a little warmish. I mean, some of the things, that are told. Now, all of a sudden, the power yoga has come in. I don't know how far it could be believed. I don't believe in that, because yoga, you are not going to sweat in yoga, whereas in power yoga, you are going to sweat. I mean, that is the major difference. The other thing is that it may result in some damages here and there. I don't know much about it. But when you do the same asanas more, Surya Namaskara during cold season, your blood supply, blood distribution, everything comes out very well. In fact, in my presentation, I have created a chart of comparing yoga with a industry. The industry requires a space, the body is the space. Industry requires machinery, the lungs are the machinery. The industry requires a processor for the machinery, that is pranayama. A processor is alveoli, and the raw material is oxygen and blood. The result is good blood immunity, and the distribution system of the industries of the product is asanas. I've compared this as a common industrial so that people understand much better. I mean, that being the case, it can be done throughout the year depending on your capacity. Yes, madam, over to you.
Thank you so much. Bheemachar, sir, I think you want to say something.
I have a question to Hemath.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The pranayama in this cold weather or in a polluted atmosphere, how they do?
Sir, it is a very important issue. Some of my friends are there in Delhi. There is so much pollution. I have told them not to do pranayama at all. You by doing pranayama, you are inhaling that polluted air more deep within into your lungs. So if you really stay in a polluted area, please do not do pranayama. So that is the kind of advice I would give.
Good. Good.
But the preference is that you do, if at all you want to do pranayama, not in Delhi, I'm telling, if you want to do good pranayama, you sit in the midst of the greens, because they give you oxygen, they take carbon dioxide, and you will have more of oxygen in that level. Instead of sitting in the concrete jungle and then doing pranayama, go to a park after walking, sit down and then do it. They have been observing that it is better.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Hemath, Mr. Nagaraj, and Mr. Bheemachar. I'll hand it over to Gina now to conclude.
Annie, just 1 minute. I have put a number of Miss Raman from Bangalore. She called me early in the morning and she requires some help. So if any of your volunteer service can just call her and ask for any help.
Sure, ma'am. I have made a note on the number, ma'am. We'll definitely contact her and check.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Gina.
Thank you. So with that, we have come to an end of today's such a wonderful session. Actually, I think that the time is literally not enough, because our resource person have shared a lot of information, and I think there are more we need to study from them with their life's experience on yoga, as well as their the path they have come. So on behalf of Vayomanasa Sanjeevani, I would like to thank all the wonderful speakers who have joined for today's session. And Annie Matthew, ma'am, thank you so much for moderating this session. And with that, all the Zoom and YouTube participants, thank you for this joining with us. At the end of the session, I'll be playing a video of Mr. Bheemachar sir doing pranayama. And with that, I would like to thank all our partners for Vayomanasa Sanjeevani, Government of Karnataka, Indian Psychiatric Society, Karnataka, Chapter 1, Karnataka State Legal Service Authority, Bangalore Apartment Federation, Happy 60 Plus, Samadhana Counseling Center, Icon Life Science, REC Foundation, and NSC Foundation. Now I would play a small video of Bheemachar sir demonstrating pranayama. So the video is visible?
Yeah, now it's visible. Yes.
Wonderful, sir. It is very, very inspiring, Bheemachar, sir. At this age of 91, you have performed the practices wonderfully well.
Yeah, I think this will become a demonstration video for our this thing, and I think Hemath will add the background description of this procedure.
Yes, 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 sir.
I think
One
it is
small
God's given gift.
Yeah. One small question, Bheemachar. Can
Yes.
Kapalabhati, what you did, was in Kumbhaka?
Agnisara Kriya, I think.
Kapalabhati. No.
Sorry,
There's
Kapalabhati.
no Kumbhaka
After
there.
Kapalabhati, did you do Agnisara Kriya, sir?
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
It
It
was
Agnisara.
afterwards, rotating the stomach.
afterwards.
Nauli, before Nauli, it was Agnisara Kriya.
Yes, nowadays.
Yes, sir.
Can this Kapalabhati be done by the people suffering from hypertension? I was told a different opinion, that's why.
I've not come across. Answer can be given, Hemath.
Yeah, so I think retention of the breath should be avoided. The flapping of the abdomen, if you have hypertension, that should be avoided. So we will write all the details, what is to be done, what is not.
Yeah, I think this is for somebody who has been exceedingly kind of practicing it in a regular manner, and then who's very healthy. And
Yes.
all practices may not be done by everybody. So I think
Yeah.
that is why individualization is required.
Yes,
And
yes.
I think that is something like we will take care during the description.
Yes.
Kumar,
Yes, sir.
the same video, I told all the asanas also.
Yes, we have it, sir. We will put that also on the website, sir. We will write the description and put it.
Okay, thank you, thank you. The time
Excellent.
factor is there. Thank you very much.
Kindly unmute Shivkumar.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah.
We just need to add some more details. So,
Yeah.
and then we will do it.
So with that, we have come to an end of today's session. I would like to mention that in our book, Healthy Aging, Dr. Hemath Bharghav sir have been a scholar. He have given his contribution about yoga. So about the details about all those things will be available on our website. So you can visit our website and read the book. So basically about not only about yoga, all the aspect of healthy aging has been added. So not much going further. I would like to end today's session and wishing all 8th International Yoga Day and have a wonderful evening. Thank you all.
Thank you. It
Thank
was
you.
a wonderful session.
Thank
Thank you, Nagaraj sir. Nice
Thank you.
to have connected with you, sir. Nagaraj.
It was a very wonderful session, doctors. And my Guruji, Dr. Nagaraj Rao sir, I am attending sessions with him daily. This is Jambunathan sir.
Oh, Jamunnath.
Yeah, see, I am attending daily sessions with him. Thanks, and NIMHANS. I think this is perhaps the best program I have attended through NIMHANS. Thank you. God bless all of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, VMS Sanjeevani, for providing us this platform. A wonderful initiative, and congratulations to PT Shivkumar sir. He has always been, so motivating for all of us. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Hemath. Thank you all. Thank you all.
I
for-
second it, sir. I second it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.